Hello there, kia ora. Nominations are open now if you're considering running for local government this year. So I thought I'd let you know about the process for getting on the ballot in case you want to run, and maybe some tips on how to create a bit of a base to build a campaign on. Okay, so there are some basic legal requirements that you have to meet first. You have to be over 18 and you have to be on the electoral roll as well, but not necessarily for the area that you're running in. Then the technical process for being nominated is actually really simple. You head to the website of the council you want to run in, you download a nomination form, you fill it out, and you return it. You're going to need two people who live in the area that you're running in to nominate you, and they need to be over 18 as well. They also need to be on the electoral roll as living within the area that you want to run in. You then pay I think it's $200 fee, you return your form, and technically that's all you have to do to be nominated. You don't have to submit a photo or a blurb for the little election book, but you should. The photo needs to be a clear face pic, 1300 by 2000 pixels with no text on it. So you can't have a great big picture of yourself like this with "Vote for me" written all over it. You can also have a blurb of up to 150 words, and you can have that blurb in both English and Te Reo Māori if you want, and you get 150 words for each of those versions, but they do have to match. You can't say one thing in one language and another thing in another. And if you wanted to write in another language like Samoan or Urdu, you have 150 words total, and a translation is going to be required. You'll also need to provide some contact details, which the local electoral team can give out to groups or media wanting to ask you questions. So it might be best to make sure that you've got a com tool that you want to be made available for this kind of stuff. Then that's pretty much the technical part. If you run and don't come dead last, you should get your deposit back as well after the election. And you do need to keep track of how much you spend and how much you get in donations of both money and in-kind donations, because there are limits on what you can spend, but those limits are different for every area that you're in. It's based on the size of the population and the role that you're going for. And you can run for multiple roles. You can run for the mayor and a councillor in your area, for example. But you can't run for multiples of the same role. Like a councillor in a city that has an east and west ward, you can't run for both of those wards at the same time. Most councils are going to update their website daily with candidates once the nominations are finalised. So before then, you want to make sure that voters can find you online. Now, a website is a great way to have all your campaign info in one place, all your policies, some pretty pictures, all of that kind of stuff. And a social media presence is pretty much a must-have these days. And if you've got a dedicated email attached to a website like that, it gives you a secure way for communications to come in from voters that are separate from your personal emails. Different social media platforms also appeal to different demographics, so having a range of channels should help you be discovered and can be tailored to those specific audiences. Facebook, for example, is more used by people over 30 for information, whereas TikTok and Instagram tend to be used by those under 35 a lot more. Blue Sky tends to be used by those who are a bit more progressive, while Twitter tends to be used by those who are more rotted than the 6-week-old roadkill and conservative. Where possible, try and secure the handles and set up the profiles that you want before you get the nomination done, because once that goes live, voters will go hunting. Also, double check the privacy settings on your personal social media pages. It's up to you if you keep these visible to the public, but at the very least, make sure comments aren't wide open to the public, and remember your personal pages might have images or information about other people, like your partner, kids, or parents, and having that open to trolls who inhabit the internet while calling for attention on yourself might not be something that they're comfortable with. Once that's all set up, write up a press release and send it off to local media. They're always looking for content. Places like your local access radio station can reach a huge range of audience types. Print media can have a great reach in local communities as well. Try and get along to as many candidate events as possible. Find ways to get out and meet people, and if you have the budget, look at how best to spend it. Will you reach more people with social media advertising, newspaper, radio, billboards? And will those people vote? Which is one of the reasons why you'll often find candidates focus their spending on money where older voters can see them, because older people are more likely to vote. Try and have the framework for how you want to approach your campaign before you kick it off. And the longer in advance that you get the word out, the better the infiltration of name recognition that it can be during the campaign period itself. Now, let me leave it with you. We need good people to run in these elections, and we need people who can motivate voters. And it's a tough slog that requires a lot of commitment to get through the campaign, and then, if you're elected, to represent your communities. So, if you're considering running, give it a lot of thought beforehand. All right, now good luck, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Hey, thanks for checking out today's video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe so you get more updates as we go along. We deal with these guys for the rest of the year.